Greetings, I'm Toglin Hell's Harlequin, but you may call me Tog. Today I'm gonna do an unscripted rant, so I'm probably gonna stumble a lot. As well as you can see, I'm doing a speed paint. The reason I don't ever do speed paints is because it's very unusual for me to draw on my tablet, or at least to do my initial sketches on my tablet, because usually what I do is I sketch everything out with pencil and paper, scan it to my computer, trace it on a vector-based program, and then color it. It sounds very inefficient, but I find it to be easier. Every artist has their own tactics. Anyway, let's talk about labels. People seem to think that if you get labeled with anything, you're somehow stuck in a little box. It's like, there's no understanding that nobody, or at least not many people, fit stereotypes of a label completely. Such as in a video before, I said I don't mind labeling myself gothic, even though I don't perfectly fit the stereotype. I mean, I don't even fit the biggest part of the stereotype yet. Everyone calls me gothic and I don't deny it because I have a thing for that sort of fashion and the sort of gothic movies and literature, and I have a big affinity for the macabre. The only thing that I don't really do is I don't listen to goth rock. I don't mind it. I know other people who listen to it, but it's just not my cup of tea. As I said before, I'm more of a classical music and classic rock kind of girl. I mean, I can kind of understand with our current cultural climate why some people are so adverse to labels, because there's those people who you meet that the first thing they say is, "Hi, I'm gothic and bi, and I'm also pansexual," and wait, would anyone say they're bi and pansexual? Probably. Because I just realized that they pretty much mean the same thing. It seems the mockery of that sort of people have come to the point where people are very adverse to using labels at all. I was at my local BDSM club, and there was this couple, these two ladies, that were chatting, and I was chatting with them. Then one of them mentioned about picking up their kids from their ex-husband, and I mentioned, "Oh, I didn't realize you were bi." And she said, "I don't like labels." I said, oh, so I'm guessing you were just experimenting with a man, but you're a lesbian." She's like, "No, I like men and women, but I don't like labels." That's pretty much how ridiculous we've gotten to the point, as even if the label fits pretty much perfectly, people refuse to use them, and I'm not entirely sure why. I know there are some sort of stereotypes and connotations that come in with labels, but I find labels to be useful because they give a lot of information with a very little effort. It's just good to know that most people won't fit all of the stereotypes of a label, but I do think most people who are willing to accept a label will at least admit the fact that they fit a few. I'm sure everybody fits at least a few stereotypes within their groups or communities. Speaking of which, communities is another topic I wanted to go into. It seems people are a little ridiculous when you tell them they're part of a YouTube community. I think being a YouTuber itself sort of implies you're part of a community because you're part of the greater YouTube community. But I know that's what most people aren't necessarily talking about. People don't like being referred to as the skeptic community, the rationalist community, I wouldn't necessarily call this community on YouTube skeptic or rationalist. I'd say anti-regressive seems like an applicable enough term because all of them seem to fight regressive type ideology, and I actually think the community is far broader than people think it is. Just the reason why I think it is a community, and I'm going to be all contrarian about this sort of thing, is because many of you who are subscribed to me are subscribed to a lot of the other anti-regressive channels. I wouldn't have even gotten as much growth as I have if it wasn't for the help and networking of larger YouTubers than me. And there have been people I'd been watching for years on end. The one who first helped me out would have been Sugar Tits. Me and her had been Twitter buddies for over a year before I even made my first video, and she was very encouraging, as well as, there's a long list of YouTubers who have helped me out and who I've reached out to. And I'm sure that a lot of a lot of my subscribers would know at least one of them because I'm very doubtful I've gotten very many of them just stumbling on my channel on their own accord. Definitely, if you want to grow quickly, networking is the way to do it. That's one of the things that also bothers me is with some YouTubers and can kind of understand why they would not necessarily consider themselves a community because they didn't necessarily grow by networking, nor do they overly network now. TLD is a good example of that. Although he does still associate with the honey badgers and has in the past associated with not necessarily the larger anti-regressive community, but he's more associated with, well, he has associated with anti-feminists in the past. But he's not really that much of a networker. But then if you look at someone like Jeff Holiday, he's the one that's the most ridiculous about this whole anti-community nonsense. I have nothing against him because I'm sure I have a lot of Jeff Holiday fans listening to me. I actually have nothing against the man, I just think he's silly. He's very, very silly. He's always going on about how he doesn't like labels and we're not in a community. And he actively networks with a lot of people. A lot. Promotes a lot of channels. Has a lot of channels promote him. Him and Bering are very buddy-buddy. And Bering is very much into promoting and networking as well. So, I think your argument that you're not necessarily part of a community falls out the window when you actually look at your actions. Even if you don't like a label, if it fits, there's no real reason to deny it. I mean, you could always state that you don't consider yourself that, but it seems undeniable looking at it. I don't know, it's just something that's been kind of bugging me just because I think people are a little bit ridiculous. But I've also noticed that a lot of other YouTubers are on this anti-community bandwagon. It's just a very, very strange phenomenon I have noticed. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And I wish all of you a pleasant rest of your day.